Let's talk about uncertainty. It's one of those things that seems to permeate every aspect of our lives. And at least for my life, it's something that's caused me a significant amount of stress and anxiety. It feels like if you choose to do anything, if you make any decision about any situation in any area of your life, you're inviting more uncertainty into it. And this holds true for the small things just as much as it does the big things. Every time I get in my car to go to work in the morning, there's always a little bit of uncertainty about whether or not I'll make it to work on time. And it doesn't matter that I've driven the same route to work for almost a year and a half now, 5 days a week. It doesn't matter that I literally put my work address into my Google Maps and it tells me how long it's going to take for me to get there. It tells me my ETA. Still, my brain is in the background running its little uncertainty pads, making me feel anxious about whether or not I'll get to work on time. And even when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking something and it comes time to salt the dish, and in the past, maybe I've salted things a little bit too much and I'm a little traumatized. So now I'm kind of a conservative salter. I'm a little shy with it. But I know that in my head, I don't put enough salt. And so when I've salted something, I always put a little bit more just to kind of make up for that. But then there's this uncertainty about whether or not I put enough salt, or if I put too much, or if I put it just right. And God forbid if someone else is there and I'm cooking with someone else, or they're waiting on me to finish their meal. And now the weight of both of our evenings lies on whether or not I'm a good salter. And it's so silly and it's so stupid and nobody really even cares, but still, the uncertainty is there in the back of my head, running the same processes it always does. And if uncertainty is there in the background playing its little games with the small things in life, then you can bet it's playing its games with the big things too. Recently, I was applying for a new job, a teaching position at a local high school. And in a somewhat growing irony, as I moved forward in the job application process and I got closer and closer to actually getting the job, the uncertainty around it only seemed to increase. Because when I first applied for the job, the only uncertainty there was in my head was whether or not I was a qualified applicant and whether or not they'd be interested in talking to me. But then I actually got the interview, and then there was all this uncertainty about what my coworkers were going to be like and what my supervisors and boss were going to be like and what the interview was going to be like and what questions they were going to ask me and what questions I was going to ask them. And then they actually gave me the job. They offered it to me and I accepted it. And now there's all this uncertainty about, am I even qualified to do this job well? Like, what am I doing? What are the kids going to be like? What is the school environment going to be like? And the crazy thing is that I've realized and learned over the last 25 years that when you try to do things to decrease uncertainty in your life, you only ever end up increasing it. I want you to think back for a moment to the last time you sat down with someone that you liked and you were vulnerable with them about your feelings for them. And I want you to remember all the stress and the anxiety you probably felt about how they might feel about you and what their reaction might be. And so then you tell them, right? And temporarily, you decrease uncertainty because you're going to find out pretty quick how they feel about you. But then there's all this new uncertainty around how do you move forward? Because what if they do like you back? Then what do you do? Do you date? Do you stay friends? Do you become friends with benefits? Do you pretend that the conversation never happened between you two? And what if they don't like you? Then do you need space? Do you need to move on completely? And what about what they need from you? The questions, they never stop. And the uncertainty, it never goes away. It only ever changes form. Uncertainty for me has been this 200-pound backpack that I've been dragging with me as I've tried to climb the mountain of life. It feels like something that's always there, and it's always holding me back from fully experiencing the breadth and depth of life. There are so many conversations I chose to never have, and so many opportunities I chose to never pursue because of the uncertainty around them. This became especially relevant a few weeks ago when I was on vacation. I went to go see a good friend of mine, and I also just wanted to get away from real life for a bit, to unplug and de-stress, just be a normal human being for once. But what ended up happening is I spent a lot of time dwelling on all of the aspects of uncertainty that lie waiting for me when I would be getting back from vacation. Things with the job were still kind of panning out. There were some friendships that were on rocky footing, and there were things that I couldn't really do anything about in the moment, but I didn't know what was going to happen, so I just kept thinking about them. And I realized that dwelling on things has kind of been my strategy for dealing with uncertainty for most of my life. I dwell and I dwell and I dwell until either the stress and anxiety gets so high that I'm forced to do something different, or I dwell for so long that there's not really anything to do because the situation changes. And that, I can tell you from my own personal experience, is a terrible strategy, because you spend a lot of time stressed and anxious. You give away your personal power to influence the situation whatsoever, and it tends to take away from the present moment. So I decided that enough is enough, and that I needed to come up with a new strategy for dealing with uncertainty. And so that's what I did. I came up with a new mindset for approaching uncertainty with, and I've been putting it into practice over the last few weeks. And I would say that it's pretty effective and also fairly simple in its application. The thing that I tend to forget about uncertainty, and the thing that I think most people tend to forget, is that we as humans, we tend to focus on the negative aspects of uncertainty. When in reality, and this is really key to remembering, and the key to the whole mindset really, is that uncertainty is a neutral experience. And what makes it negative or positive is what aspects of uncertainty we choose to focus on. If we choose to focus on the negative aspects of it, all the things that could go wrong, then fear and stress and anxiety are going to be our constant companions. But if we choose to focus on the positive aspects of uncertainty, all the things that could go right, then all we're left with is excitement and anticipation. Because when you really think about it, what is excitement and anticipation? It's not knowing what's going to happen, but knowing that whatever does happen will probably be a good experience. There's a second and equally important part to this mindset, which takes into account the fact that sometimes things really do go wrong, that sometimes the negative aspects of uncertainty do come to fruition, and that's just a fact of life. But the other fact of life is that you and I, as human beings, we have been dealing with uncertainty with every decision we've ever made ever since we've been able to make decisions. As human beings, we are certifiable, quantifiable, uncertainty-fighting machines. And if you're here sitting, watching this video, that means that every single negative experience you've ever had in your entire life, you've made it through. You're here, you're alive. And if you've made it through every single negative experience you've had in the past, that's a pretty damn good indication that you're gonna make it through all of the future ones too. So like I said, I've been practicing this mindset for the last few weeks, and it's been good, but it's been challenging. Integrating a new mindset into your life is a difficult process. And it reminds me a lot of breath-focused meditation, which, if you haven't done that, it's where you very simply focus on your breathing. But the catch is that breathing is such a normal and innate human thing that the brain finds it interesting to focus on for about 3.5 seconds. And then the rest of your meditation session is solely spent on gently but firmly redirecting your focus back to your breath over and over and over again. And yeah, integrating your mindset's kind of like that, because the first time you try out a new mindset, it's new and novel and interesting and it makes sense and it kind of flows. But every single time after that, your mind just defaults to the way you've always done things, simply because that's how you've always done them. And you have to gently but firmly redirect your mind back to this new mindset over and over and over again. And it is a lot of work. But in my opinion, I think that it's still less work than it takes to deal with the stress and anxiety of uncertainty for the rest of your life, because uncertainty is unavoidable and inevitable. I'm excited to say, though, that even though these last few weeks have been difficult, they have totally been worth it. And while my mind still automatically focuses on the negative aspects of uncertainty, I'm starting to remember that there are positive aspects to it too. I'm still working on the parts where I buy into those positive aspects, and I'm definitely still working on the part where I remember that if things go wrong, I'm actually capable of handling those things, but all in good time. I'm confident that if I put in enough work over a long enough period of time, that this will become my new mindset, and that 200-pound backpack of uncertainty that I've been carrying with me, that I've been letting hold me back for so long, that I can finally set it down. Maybe kick it down the mountain too, for good measure. All right, what's up, everybody? It's Tashawn here. I hope you got something out of that video. I hope you walk away with a little bit of new perspective, or at the very least, just a reminder that things are not always as bad as they seem. If you did walk away with something new, I hope you'll share that with us in the comments, because if there's anything that I appreciate more than my own personal development, it's the personal development of other people. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, because that helps me out, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so that YouTube can let you know the next time I make a new video. Thank you for watching, and Godspeed.